As sheriff, you try to help protect the people that are paying your salary. And you can't help but think about the kind of record you're leaving. This county has not had an unsolved homicide in 41 years. Now, we got 9 of them in 1 week. Will they be solved? I don't know. Time is not on your side. Every day is against you. And I don't know if it'd be any compliment to be known as a second guessing a bunch of dope dealers. Not that they have all that much trouble second guessing us. They have no respect for the law. That ain't the half of it. They don't even think about the law. It don't seem to concern them. Of course, here a while back over in Tucson, they shot and killed a federal judge. I guess he concerned them. Add to that, along this border, we got peace officers who are getting rich off of narcotics, drugs. That's a very painful thing to know. Or it is for me. It is for me. Crooked peace officer is just a damn abomination. That's all you can say about it. He's 10 times worse than the criminal, and he ain't going away. That's the one thing I do know. It ain't going away. Where would it go to? And I think if you were Satan, you were sitting around trying to think up something that would just bring the human race to its knees, what you'd probably come up with is drugs. Maybe he did. I told that to somebody at breakfast the other morning, and they asked me if I believe in Satan. I said, well, that's not the point. And they said, well, I know, but do you? I had to think about that. You know, for me, I think the worst of it is knowing that the only reason I'm still alive, they have no respect for me. That's a painful, very painful thing to know. It's got way beyond anything you might have thought of a few years back. Over here in Maricopa County a week or two ago, they found a DC-4 just sitting out in the desert. They'd come in there of a night, cleared out a sort of landing strip, and set out rows of tar barrels for lights. They could fly back out of there. But there was no way you could have flown back out of there. It was stripped out to the walls. Just had a pilot's seat in it. You could smell the marijuana. Didn't need no dogs. The sheriff over there, I won't say his name, he wanted to set up and nail them when they come back for the plane. Somebody finally told him there wasn't nobody coming back. Never had been. When he finally understood what they was telling him, he just got real quiet, got in his car and left. They was having them dope wars over here across the border. You could not buy a half-quart mason jar nowhere. There was none to be had. What they was doing was they was putting hand grenades in them. If you flew over somebody's house or compound and drop a grenade on them, it'd go off before it hit the ground. So what they'd done was they'd pull the pin, stick the grenade down in the jar, screw the lid back on. Then whenever it hits the ground, the glass would break, release the lever, the spoon. Hard to believe a man would fly around in an airplane with such a cargo. But they'd preload cases of those things. I guess as a young boy, I did believe in Satan. Come my middle years, I figured my belief sort of waned somewhat. Now I'm leaning back the other way again. He explains a lot of things that otherwise have no explanation. People anymore. You talk to them, you tell them about right and wrong, they're liable to smile at you. Hey, I never had such doubts about things like that. In my thoughts about things like that, I hope I never do. My wife told me she heard on the radio a week or so ago about some children in this country being raised by their grandparents, some percentage. Forget what it was, pretty high I thought. Parents wouldn't raise them. We talked about that. And what we thought was, you know, when this next generation comes along and they won't raise their children, their parents were the only parents around, and their parents wouldn't raise them, they'll be the only grandparent. I had no answer for that. You know, on my better days, I think there must be something that I don't know, or something I'm just not thinking about, leaving out. Them days, those times are seldom. Sometimes, most nights, I wake up in the middle of the night, way in the night, and I'm as certain as death that there ain't nothing short of the second coming of Christ that'll slow this train. I don't know if I see any use of me laying awake over it, but I do. I was reading in the paper a few weeks ago about some teachers who come across a survey sent out in the 30s, schools all around the country. They come across this questionnaire and had all these questions about teaching in the schools, what kind of problems people had teaching in the school. And they come across forms that was all filled in, sent back in. Biggest problem they could find, biggest problem they talked about was like running in the hallways, chewing gum. So they found a bunch of the blank forms, made copies of them, and sent them back to the same schools 40 years later. Here come back the answers. Rape, arson, murder, suicide, drugs. I think about that. Because a lot of times, ever when I tell somebody, seems to me the world is going to hell in a handbasket, they just look at me and smile. Tell me that I'm just getting old, that it's one of the symptoms. But the way I see it, the way I feel, if they don't see the difference between chewing gum and murder, they got a bigger problem than what I got. Here recently, I was sitting in a conference with some woman, somebody's wife or other, and she was going on and complaining, and she was saying something about the right wing this and the right wing that. I ain't even sure what she was talking about. People I know are mostly just common people, common as dirt, as they say. She somehow thought I was saying something bad about them. But, you know, that's where I come from, my world. That's a compliment. Anyway, she was going on, she was talking this, talking that, and finally she said, I don't like the way this country's headed. I want my granddaughter to be able to have an abortion. I said, well, ma'am, I don't think you've got any worries about what direction this country is headed. The way I see it going, she's going to be able to have an abortion. I see it going, she ain't going to have any problem at all. Not only that, she'll be able to have you put to sleep, which pretty much ended the conversation. Nothing short of the second coming of Christ.